Yeah, and I suppose, I mean, 8 years is a short period of time, so it's hard to imagine a project coming before us. But, I'm just thinking ahead in the event, if we were to allow for the VA pathway and the project is successful and gets extended. So I'm just thinking in terms of, the long haul. Did you have anything to add, Ms. Olson, on
I'm just,
options?
I don't know about options.
Well, options through regular water rights processing if we did not include one of these provisions.
The VAs have yet to identify the water rights that the VAs have not yet identified the water rights that they're intending to be part of the VAs. So there's a bit of flexibility there. I do not have procedural concerns about future projects. I think most parties are on notice of the Bay Delta plan coming down the pipe and wanting to know what's in it specifically so they can plan their projects accordingly. But I'm not concerned um, about procedurally this process. I don't really have an answer for how to make the VA sort of longer living and incorporating new. I think that's a difficult one that we have not been able to work through.
Just a couple thoughts. I think under option two, to be frank, it would be difficult for a new party to join the VA unless they were within the the adopted range, if there was an adopted range. So just to be straightforward about that. If the board decided not to adopt any mechanism for protection of VA base flows, we do have responsibility and requirements to determine whether there's unappropriated water available for appropriation when a new application comes in. And Samantha can correct me if I'm wrong, but as part of that determination, my understanding or my remembrance is that we have to consider the amount of water that needs to remain in stream to protect beneficial uses in those decisions. So on a case-by-case basis, the board does have, I believe, a mechanism to protect what it deems are important flows. I think the downside of that approach is we're not being clear projecting forward what the requirements are going to be. And I think incorporating a provision like this creates that clarity so people know what will be expected rather than trying to sort of determine it on a case-by-case basis. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, and that was my sense, but I just wanted to confirm that. So thanks for the discussion.
Board
Thank you.
Member McGuire.
Yes, thank you. Just quickly, so on that thread of, providing some certainty one way or the other in terms of what's needed to protect base flows potentially and the mechanisms for that versus maybe what's available for appropriation. I'm looking at both of these options and to me, under 6A, and it's not really clear in either case, and I'm being generic and broad brush here. I'm thinking about climate change and needs for water supply resiliency and projecting out forward and understanding, it's important to know, I think, how much water might be available under these different circumstances. So I guess my question is, has there been an assessment of that side to kind of determine, big picture, how much water might be available under either scenario?
Yeah, I mean, that is something that could be gleaned from information that's available. And there's two ways I think there's existing information to inform that. One is the division has developed a water availability tool that can include the percent of unimpaired flow. It can include, a lot of different constraints. It could include either option. And individual projects can include those levels and see how it pans out for their project and a number of different assumptions that can be toggled on or off. So that's one source of information I think that's more specific to a specific project. If we're looking for generally answering this question overall, how much water may exist in the system, I think it's any time that in our modeling analyses, flows are over 55% of unimpaired flow. That means the 55% of, or whatever flow level the board decides to move forward with. That means whatever that volume is over that percentage is the volume that could potentially be made available for new projects. We haven't that I'm recalling, compiled that information. I'm looking to Matt. He can chime in if I'm wrong about that. That is something that we could do. And I think, the public could do with the information that's available in the draft staff report that's out right now.
I appreciate that. And I think